Hello and welcome everyone to this video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing my 2024 Republican candidates tier list rankings and basically ranking all the potential or Republican candidates that already have announced their candidacy for the 2024 Republican primaries. And basically, I'm going to be ranking them from worst to best on who is the most electable or who has the best chances at beating Joe Biden in 2024. I'm going to be ranking the worst candidates first and the best candidates for last. Like I already mentioned, this is based off of candidates who already have announced, for example, Donald Trump, Nikki Haley, or candidates who are probably going to run or have a high chance at a potential run, for example, Ron DeSantis, or maybe even Larry Hogan. Okay, so the first person on this list is Liz Cheney. I think she is a horrible candidate, and she's not a good choice, and she is a dropout candidate. What I mean by dropout candidate is she's going to pull very lowly to the point where she's going to be forced to drop out or going to have to drop out because her numbers will be so low. It's going to cause her to drop out in early rounds, very early. And the former Wyoming congresswoman who emerged as the foremost GOP critic of Trump's lies about widespread election fraud lost her House seat to a Trump-backed primary challenger. She launched a political action committee last year and made clear she intends to try to purge the GOP of Trump's influence. But what she means in the context of a potential 2024 bid is not yet clear, meaning she has not announced. But she has intended to run, and she gave a little bit of hints, and she thinks that Donald Trump is not good enough for 2024, and she thinks that she can challenge him, and she has not yet officially ran, but with those words, I think she is intending to run, which is why I put her on this list, because I do think she's going to run, and I think she is going to get very low numbers to the point where she's going to be the first candidate to drop out, and she is going to be an immediate dropout candidate. So I think she is just wasting her time at this point. I'm going to give her a 1 out of 5 rating. I think she's a horrible dropout candidate and will drop out immediately because she will pull very lowly. And most of the Republican Party does not want her. She lost her seat, and majority of Republicans are in favor of Trump, and she is one of the few Republicans that is not in favor of Trump, which is a bad sign, and which means that the majority of the Republican Party would not want her, which means why she'll pull very lowly if she does run. And she is a potential candidate, and she has given some hints that she would run. And it will force her to drop out immediately. So I think she will be one of the first candidates to drop out, which is why I give her a 1 out of 5 rating. Okay, so the next two candidates, I'm going to be placing them at the same rankings. Former Vice President Mike Pence and Larry Hogan. And I'm going to be placing them in the average or below average tier list. I think Mike Pence is pretty below average, and I think Larry Hogan is pretty average. I think Mike Pence, so first of all, let's start off with Mike Pence. He has made clear that he believes the GOP will move on from Trump. Mike Pence has made clear that he thinks the GOP will move on from Trump, which is another potential hint that he's going to run. He said, quote unquote, I think we're going to have new leadership in this party and in this country. And he also did say that he will make a decision by this spring, by the next 2 months. Within these 2 months, he will make a decision on if he's going to run or not. And he has made that clear. And with that statement, I think he's going to run. Because I think if you tell the public that you will make your decision within the upcoming spring, then you're probably going to run. So I think he's going to run. He's been saying that ever since he split with Donald Trump. So I think Mike Pence is pretty much below average candidate. I think he's not going to get much of the GOP votes. I think he's close to Liz Cheney. I think he's going to be the next in line to drop out right after Liz Cheney. I do think Liz Cheney will be first, though. I think Mike Pence will hold on for a little bit longer than Liz Cheney. And I think he's going to try to do whatever he can to, I would say, make him look better than Donald Trump. But obviously the GOP will not stand by that. I think Mike Pence will not get a lot of votes at all. I think he's going to be around Liz Cheney. And now with Larry Hogan. Okay, the former Maryland governor, Larry Hogan, is another Trump opponent. And if you are a Republican Trump opponent, that is not good for you. You probably won't get a lot of votes at all. Just like Liz Cheney, Mike Pence, and now Larry Hogan, who is a Trump opponent. I think all of those three people will not get that many votes just because they are anti-Trump Republicans. Anti-Trump Republicans will not get a lot of votes in the primaries. I can tell you that right now. So it's not going to work out for Mike Pence. It's not going to work out for Larry Hogan. It's not going to work out for Liz Cheney because they are Trump opponents, and that is not good. He told Fox News he is giving a 2024 run a very serious consideration, quote unquote. Very serious consideration is what he said on Fox News, which means he's probably going to run. He is a potential candidate that is likely to run. He is probably going to run. And I think he's an average candidate, average to below candidate to be exact. I think he ranks somewhere between with Mike Pence, and maybe slight bit better than Liz Cheney. I think obviously he's going to get some votes, but I think they're probably going to be coming in from his state. I think other than that, I think the GOP in his state will back him up. I don't think any GOP. I don't think he will get a lot of GOP votes nationwide. I think they would rather come in from his state, meaning leading him to dropping out probably a few months after they begin with the primaries. I think he is going to be next in line after Liz Cheney and Mike Pence. I think Larry Hogan and Mike Pence will drop out around the same time, but obviously Liz Cheney will be first. Of average candidates, and that is Ted Cruz, who previously ran in 2016 and dropped out, obviously, because he lost, and then Nikki Haley and Tim Scott. So first, let's start off with Ted Cruz. The Texas senator and 2016 GOP contender has not ruled out another presidential bid, but he is also seeking re-election in 2024. And he said, quote unquote, I think there will be plenty of time to discuss the 2024 presidential race. Somewhat interested, intending to run. Doesn't mean he is going to run, but somewhat interested, which is why I'm going to put him on this list for now, because he has ran in the past, obviously 2016, and pretty much alive in politics in the last 4 years, obviously. 2016, he did fall second place shortly behind Donald Trump, which is why I put him above average candidates, because if it wasn't for Donald Trump, Ted Cruz probably would have won back in 2016, which I'm going to give him a 3 out of 5 rating. And now for Nikki Haley. So Nikki Haley recently just launched her presidential campaign, and it was a shift from her previous instance that she would not run against Trump. In the past, she said back in 2021 and repeatedly in the past, she had said over and over again she would not run against Trump. If Trump were to announce his presidency, which he did, she would not run against him. And guess what? She has announced her presidential campaign for the nomination as well. Meaning, number one, she either lied. Number two, she changed her mind. It's one of those two. And she said, quote unquote, it's time for a new generation of leadership. And she, by the way, she is already announced candidate. She's not a potential candidate. She has already announced, as you guys may have already known. So I'm going to give her an above average rating because I don't think she's terrible. I think, well, I mean, she's obviously, some polls suggest that she's already polling at as low as 4%, which is not where you want to be at. But I think if you count Donald Trump out of this race, if you count Ron DeSantis out of this race, then I would suggest that Nikki Haley would probably be next in line in front of them. Obviously, she's better than, I would say, a Mike Pence. Nikki Haley is better than Liz Cheney, definitely. Which is why I give her a little bit of an above average rating. I think I would give her a 3 out of 5 rating. I think she's a candidate that will not drop out right away. I think she'll put up a hard fight. I think it will take a few months for her to finally drop out. Is my prediction. So I think she'll put up a good fight. I think she'll get a little bit more than obviously 4%, which is what some polls are suggesting. I think she'll put up a good fight. She will stay longer than Liz Cheney. I think she'll stay in longer than Mike Pence. That is my hot take. And now Tim Scott. Tim Scott is actually set to visit Iowa for an event his team built, and it is focused on quote unquote faith in America, which is I would say one hint that he's probably going to intend to run because he had said in the past, and he's definitely not ruling it out, which is why he is a potential candidate that has not officially announced just yet. I would put him in above average rankings. I don't think he's as bad as Mike Pence. I don't think he's bad as Liz Cheney, and I think he's a little bit better than Larry Hogan. I think he probably would drop out pretty, I would say, sooner than a lot of people expect. I think he would put up a good fight as well. I think he will drop out as soon as Nikki Haley would drop out, I would say, or a little bit earlier, just because they are both from, I would say, South Carolina. So they pretty much know each other, and I think they can give some common ground in the debates, and I think they can probably agree on a lot of things because they know each other really well. So I think Nikki Haley and Tim Scott would drop out. I would say kind of together at the same amount of time. I do think Tim Scott would drop out a little bit faster though. So I'm gonna give Ted Cruz, Nikki Haley, and Tim Scott a 3 out of 5. They're a little bit slightly above average. Obviously better than Mike Pence, better than Liz Cheney, and probably better than Larry Hogan as well. Because if you are a Trump opponent, you are not going to do good. None of these candidates have taken a shot at Trump at all, so they're not too bad. And then for my solid contenders, I have Glenn Youngkin, the governor of Virginia, who has flipped a pretty much Democratic state for the past decade now. And I'm gonna give him a 4 out of 5 rating. I think he's a solid contender, and I think if he does run, which he has not announced yet, and he hasn't really shown interest in running, he's been mainly focusing on Virginia, which is he better be focusing on Virginia. I mean, he's their governor, which is what he should do. But at the end of the day, he still can very well announce. And if he doesn't announce, I think he's a solid contender, and he can be very close to Ron DeSantis' numbers. I think he can be maybe close to Donald Trump's numbers as well. And I think he's very well liked amongst the Republican Party, and I think he can do very well amongst independents as well, which is why he won a Democratic swing state to be exact, in Virginia. So Glenn Youngkin, the Virginia governor's 2021 victory offered Republicans a new playbook focused on parental power and education. His political travel, including stops for a series of Republican gubernatorial candidates last year, makes it clear Youngkin has ambitions beyond Virginia. He faced a setback to his push for a 15-week abortion ban when Democrats won a state Senate special election earlier this year, expanding their narrow majority. And now what you all have been waiting for: Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. Obviously, Donald Trump has already announced his candidacy back in November, right after the midterms. And Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida. I'm going to give Donald Trump a 5 out of 5 rating. Obviously, he is the Republican Party leader currently. And I think I'm going to be ranking Donald Trump good enough to win the election, obviously, because he's obviously done it in the past. He won the 2016 election, and he came pretty close in 2020. And I think he's good enough to win the. I'm gonna give him the top tier, first in line, if not second behind Ron DeSantis, who Ron DeSantis has not yet announced yet. But first, let's talk about Donald Trump. The former president officially launched his campaign, obviously in November, days after the midterms election, and he has never really stopped running after 2020. Even before he announced his campaign for 2024, he still was campaigning and continuing to hold campaign-style rallies with supporters, even before he announced his run for 2024. He's always been doing rallies, like even as president, even not as president. So he's never really ran away from politics. Obviously, Donald Trump is always going to be in politics ever since he stepped in. And now things get really interesting here with Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is a growing winner in the Republican Party. I think he is a rising star, and Ron DeSantis is the future of the Republican Party. I think he comes in second behind Donald Trump. I think if Ron DeSantis is not the nominee in 2024, I think he will be the nominee in 2028. It's either 2024 or 2028. I think it would be Donald Trump in 2024, Ron DeSantis in 2028. And if somehow DeSantis does step in this race, which is very likely, which is why he's on here, and does end up beating Donald Trump would fall second, DeSantis would come first. I think that is the end of the political career for Donald Trump. But if Donald Trump comes head to head with Ron DeSantis and ends up beating Ron DeSantis barely, which I think that's the case, I think it'll be very close between them. I think DeSantis would step in for 2028, and I think he's likely the Republican nominee for 2028. Ron DeSantis is very well liked in the Republican Party. He obviously has great advantages. He can turn swing states into red states, which he already has with his state of Florida. It was a swing state, and now he shifted it very Republican, which he can do a lot to other swing states. He can do the same thing with other swing states. Very well liked amongst Republicans, especially Floridians. He is very approved of. And I think he can very well be the nominee in 2024 and beyond, in 2028 as well. I think he will pull very close. Head-to-head, Donald Trump. Some polls suggest he's beating Donald Trump. And if you have polls suggesting that you are beating Donald Trump, you are probably in a good position. Because Donald Trump has been the leader of the Republican Party in these past 8 years, I would say. And if you have a poll saying that you are beating Donald Trump, that is very good news for you. And which is why Ron DeSantis could very well be the nominee in 2024 if he intends to run. And he has given shots that he's probably going to run. And there's been rumors speculating that he is going to run. And if he does run, it will probably be coming by this summer, probably in June. So expect a DeSantis run in this summer. Announcement in the summer. Floridian Governor Ron DeSantis emerged as the top alternative to Trump in many conservatives' eyes after his dominant re-election victory. A DeSantis announcement is likely months away, with Florida currently in the middle of its legislative session. So it is official as of right now, Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis are the top two Republican contenders. Either Ron DeSantis or Donald Trump will most likely be the nominee to face Biden in 2024. And by the way, Biden might not even run. There's a chance he runs, there's a chance he doesn't. But that's for another video. Let me know if you agree with me with Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis probably being the Republican nominee in 2024.